on budget. The reason I say it doesn't make promises is we really pushed to get a new clinic somewhere in the south because we've got such big distances. We got finally $1 million for a rural clinic. You know where the rural clinic got built? Where? No.
Las Cruces.
Las Cruces, no. I want you to guess, because I want it to be offensive when I finally tell you. I want you to be as offended as I am and understand that you can win the fights and still lose the fights.
Farmington?
Farmington, no.
Rio Rancho.
Rio Rancho, yes. Right. Rio Rancho. They can drive 40 minutes from Rio Rancho and get to Albuquerque, and they left you all driving 4.5 hours without improving service. That's, yeah.
This is a second to that question. I'm a DAV van driver that always makes relay
Yes.
trips to Albuquerque.
Right.
And some of these old gentlemen, they're World War II guys. They're in their late 80s. When they get on that van at 1 o'clock in the morning, they get back at 7 or 8 at night. Now, this is ridiculous. You know, young guys, even us as Vietnam vets, that's hard. It's getting harder on us geezers. We're getting there.
Yeah. And so what I absolutely believe is I've said that we need to hit the reset button. We need to hit the VA reset button because it's not functional. And so I put a bill in, and again, we didn't get it passed, but we put it in to force the system. Number one, they were paying, 6 years ago, they were giving you 11 cents a mile. You couldn't put air in your tires for 11 cents a mile. And so it was us that put in the bill and say you'll pay them at the going rate, 44 cents. You're actually, I think, getting 44 cents now. And they actually did it because of that bill. But the second thing we said is if you have to go more than a certain distance, I can't remember, 70, 150 miles, that you should be able to go to a local doctor. Now, how much do you all get paid mileage for one guy driving up to Albuquerque?
If it's your personal vehicle, it's somewhere around $205.
All right, 200
Is it?
$205 is close enough for
He
discussion.
goes more often, so he knows.
$195.
195.
195. We're bidding it down. Now, does anything seem really foolish to you about that? We got onto this because of a vet. I tend to focus on individual problems, not system. So we could complain about the VA, but instead I complain about this guy in the VA. He was doing what you're talking about. He had diabetes and they were bringing him up to Albuquerque 4 hours or something, 3.5. With diabetes, his legs weren't circulating properly. 4 hours up, 4 hours back. And he complained, and so I took it and I said, you gotta let this guy contract locally. You can't put him in the car. He ended up losing one leg and another leg and then died because of the circulation problems that he faced. And the VA would never do it. Now, this 195 is for what? What commodity are we paying for? Health care?
Travel.
Gasoline. So the VA insists that we spend money on gasoline. So you got VA medical and VA whatever. This goes under the whatever. You wouldn't take $1 away from medical care. You would take away dollars from some travel budget down here that is not medical care. And I will guarantee you, any doctor in town, you don't have to give them $195. You could probably give them a third, but let's just say a half. You just say give them $90. Any doctor in town would take a veteran for $90. I had a doctor about 2 or 3 months ago tell me over to let you know how much they get reimbursed by the government for things. He brought, some woman came to see him in Las Cruces. He saw the woman, that's then an office call. She had some problem. He did outpatient surgery right then, that's now surgery. And then he let her wait around for the rest of the morning and checked her out, so he now had another office call. And for all of that time, he got like $16, it may have been 25. $25, that's the reason that doctors don't want to take They don't want to take Medicare patients because they don't get reimbursed. We don't have to take any medical money. We just have to drive fewer miles, make it more convenient on the veterans, and take gas money. We spend less money for Venezuelan oil. It's a win, 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 and we can't get them to do it, and it's time for us to hit the reset. And so over here, huh? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. This logic thing keeps creeping in on us. It's an accusation that I just have to admit. Okay, so that should be one of these participation things that maybe you could help take on this effort to lead the webpage to bring some common sense to this thing for rural states, again, small rural. This is the question. The money goes into a big, if they start taking money and putting it into local clinics, it goes to small. And if they keep people coming to big places, then it goes to big. You see how it's not Democrat, Republican, this is small versus large. So again, that question there. Huge question. Murray.
I'm very much appreciative for you taking the time to bring us up to date. We all realize in only 30 days or so, the moment of truth is rapidly approaching. I do not consider myself a member of the Sky is Falling club, but sometimes I think we might have let it go ahead and fall. We wouldn't be any worse off than we are now. I think we're at a full-blown crisis. Those of us in this district have a unique privilege. We can take part. We can participate. Just our good luck that we have Steve running to take a seat in the state Congress and the federal Congress and have something to say about it. I don't think I can overstate the crisis we have. You mentioned the Constitution. The key element of the Constitution called initiation. People can get together and decide we need to correct this, and let's get going doing it. The present administration, parenthetically, years ago, Barry Wogarth put out a book called None Dare Tread Treason. Now we're talking about None Dare Tread Conspiracy. If top guys don't get what they want, moral, fair, constitutional heat, they'll resort to the courts. That's happened so many times around the country. And that is in very, very serious trouble. And I think we're very, very fortunate being able to have a voice in the next Congress. We certainly wish you well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Murray has reminded me that in this participation column, we should have our courts. We have huge problems with our courts. We're lawsuiting ourselves into bad economy. We haven't built a refinery in the country in 30 years. And now we're importing raw gasoline for the first time. It's very hard to import gasoline, very unstable. And we're importing it in large tankers because we will not let ourselves build refineries because of lawsuits. Do you know an offensive thing that most of the lawsuits that are brought by the extreme groups, you pay taxes. You pay their lawyers $400 to $600 per hour to bring the suits. In other words, they bring the suits and then the federal government reimburses them for the cost to kill your jobs, to kill your future. That should be something that offends every single one of us. We can't cut trees because of lawsuits. We burn forests and the trees are still good, and the groups bring lawsuits endlessly until the trees have no more value. They do that over and over. We have litigated nuclear power out of the country. We need power desperately. The cost of power is going up. We have 13 power plants that have invested up to $300 million apiece and still can't get a permit. We're regulating our jobs, our economy out of existence, and that's the reason I think people are frustrated, angry, and scared. So Murray brings up a huge deal in the courts. And we need the participation of the American people, this strong, strong push here saying, fix it. My first year in Congress, we went to New York to Ground Zero and walked across into the New York Stock Exchange. And they told us there that if you don't get rid of frivolous lawsuits, there will not be a major 500 corporation left in the country in 20 years. So lawsuit abuse protection is something that we drastically need. And again, that needs to be a push coming from New York. 3, who was the third? It was Greta. 3, yes ma'am.
Thanks, Alan Blair. Something that, one of the many things about Congress's actions that upsets me and confuses me is when there is a bill set forward for a vote. An example would be the health care bill. Well, they don't have enough votes to get it passed, so they can tack other things onto it. Say gun control law, or gun control regulation, because so-and-so wants a little bit more gun control, or the earmark for their state, which I understand you represent the state, and there are things that the state needs, and they're good things, a lot of them. But those things should be handled in a budget discussion, not tacked onto a bill to get it passed. Is there any way to change this kind of activity in Congress? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yes, I think the answer is here. I think that if the guy from Nebraska that did the Cornhusker buyout, I think if he had to walk out to the room and see Nebraska residents instead of the lobbyists, I think his decision would have been somewhat different. Yes, and so again, you see the power of just a small change, put us back among the people, and we'll begin to get disciplined, because you will insist that we don't do 3,000-page bills that create this kind of monstrosity, that Nancy Pelosi says we've got to pass the bill so we actually know what's in it. These are the things that are causing people to be fuming mad, and they have a right to be. So the only suggestion I can throw at it is this, and we should then be honor-bound as congressmen to take and break the bills down into bite-sized chunks. I think we should do a lot of things on health care. We should do them one issue at a time so that people can give us a push or push back. I think that we should do tort reform. And America can agree or disagree, and the congressman will vote 218 for or against. That's clean. That's understandable. I think we should have portability. You should be able to carry it with you. That does away with pre-existing conditions. So you begin to see how small changes can affect it. Shopping across state lines would be huge because it's cheaper in Texas than here. And we begin to buy there because we don't have to pay for so many things that we don't want and need in our insurance. So we begin to choose the market better. So lots of things that we could do in small chunks. So if we actually get this section over here, PO Healthcare, then I'm saying we've got to, right in tandem with it, go and start doing the positive things that we should do to make the healthcare better. In other words, we have an obligation to do both if we start undertaking one. We can't just be out of ideas. Okay, we're getting close to our 8 o'clock. We're going to take one more series of 3s. And no second time. I don't think a second timer is going to get. Are you second timer?
I would be a second timer.
Okay. I get 1, 2, 3. You're second timer? 4, 5. Okay. We'll take 5. My staff just has to put up with that. You all have been very gracious, and I would stand here and take questions till midnight. That would be questionable. So, all right. If I call on you, let's go. Yes, ma'am.
Yesterday, there was a thing on the internet that said HB 1388 passed. And then you read on, and the idea is that Obama did an executive order to spend $20.3 million to bring a bunch of Palestinians to the United States. And how in the world is that have a House bill number when it's an executive order? Is Nancy just giving him his private army?
I would have to dig around in that. It gets back to the question on truth. I think people are tired of having to figure these things out. What I would say is that I think one of the areas that we can come over here and cut spending in is the aid to those countries that hate us and try to overthrow us. I don't think we should be helping them at all. And Hamas is definitely one of those groups that has no love for the U.S. or our systems. And so I think that we should absolutely go there and begin to do some of the spending cuts. We are propping up government